Hi everyone. Continuing on with my 20-year film festival, I'm devoting basically 2 weeks worth of movies to each year from 1995 forward. So that's like a film festival's worth of movies devoted to each year. Some of the best movies to come out each year from 1995 to last year, 2014. And I'm starting in on 1996. 1996 was a movie that I saw a lot of movies that I hated. Movies like Independence Day and Chain Reaction and The Rock and Twister and The Island of Dr. Moreau. They're all terrible. But one movie that came out that summer I was actually pretty pleased by, and that was the first Mission Impossible movie. It was directed by Brian De Palma and of course starred Tom Cruise as Ethan Hunt and Ving Rhames and a few other people like Jon Voight, Emmanuel Bayart, Emilio Estevez, Kristen Scott Thomas, Jean Reno, and Henry Czerny, of course. Henry Czerny was a guy who popped up in the 90s quite a bit as these sort of, irritating authority figures that the main characters didn't like, and he was really good at that part. The story of the first Mission Impossible is the theft of some data. The secret identities of CIA agents have been stolen and are threatening to be released, and it's Ethan Hunt's job to get the data back before it spreads all over the place. Few really good set pieces in this film. We've got a score by Danny Elfman, really fun movie, and perhaps a bit too complicated for its own good, but a lot more fun than a lot of the stupid movies that I was seeing that came out back then. Actually, you know what? I don't hate Twister. It's a dumb movie, but I don't hate it. I find it entertaining, but those other movies I mentioned are terrible. The next movie I'd like to talk about is an older David O. Russell movie, of course. He went on to do Silver Linings Playbook and American Hustle and what have you. This movie is called Flirting with Disaster. It stars Ben Stiller and Patricia Arquette as a couple that just recently had a baby. And they're having a difficult time naming their child because he is adopted and he really never got in touch with his birth parents. And so he wants to meet them, and so he sets out on a road trip to find them and brings her along. They encounter a bunch of really sort of kooky characters, but it's a fun movie, really fun movie, very funny, and yeah, my introduction to David O. Russell, and he's done so many really great movies since then that he's become one of my favorite directors. Late in the summer of '96, Peter Jackson released a movie called The Frighteners. He was originally going to do King Kong back then, but there was some problems with the budget, or maybe it was the effects technology wasn't advanced enough. So he got Michael J. Fox to come to New Zealand, and he shot this movie about a guy who can see ghosts. Of course, Peter Jackson went on to do King Kong, a 3-hour version of it that it's way too long, but it has great special effects, won an Oscar for the effects. This one's a pretty comedic movie for the most part, despite the fact that it involves people dying suddenly from this specter who resembles the Grim Reaper with a cloak and a scythe and everything like that. But what the Michael J. Fox character discovers eventually is that it's actually a serial killer who's taken on this persona, has come back from the dead to wipe out more people. Yeah, fun movie, really fun movie. And a really amazing performance from Jeffrey Combs, who is in Reanimator. He plays a FBI man who has investigated a lot of cult cases over the years, and it's disturbed him greatly. Really cool movie. Dead Man. Dead Man is sort of an arty, black and white indie movie directed by Jim Jarmusch. And it stars Johnny Depp as a man who has traveled a long way out onto the western frontier to work as, I think, a bookkeeper and accountant at a small company. Once he gets there, he finds out that someone else has taken the job, which is really unfortunate. Unfortunately, cell phones didn't exist then, so no one warned him about this, and now he's sort of stuck in this town with very little money to his name, not knowing what to do. Well, he ends up having a tryst with a woman whose husband then comes calling and shoots them both. And Johnny Depp, while wounded, isn't dead, and so he tries to get out of town as quickly as possible and get away from trouble. And he has a Native American whose name is Nobody helping him. Kind of a quiet movie, very just offbeat, very offbeat movie, as are a lot of Jim Jarmusch movies, but a really good one. It made my top 10 of that year. The People versus Larry Flint. Dead Man actually came out in 96? It must have. I don't know. Hopefully all these dates are right. The People vs. Larry Flint is the next movie I want to talk about. It was directed by Milos Forman, who did Amadeus, the biopic about Mozart. And this one stars Woody Harrelson as Larry Flint, who is the publisher of Hustler magazine, Courtney Love as his wife, and Edward Norton as his attorney. Basically, it involves a series of court cases that were brought against Larry Flint for being a pornographer and a general scumbag. But he's a sort of a free speech advocate, and so he fights all these people and is just very dismissive and rebellious. And it's a really terrific movie. Great performance by Woody Harrelson. And Edward Norton was having a really hot year. I'm going to talk about one of his other movies that he was in a little bit later on. Bound. Bound is a film that the Wachowskis directed before they did The Matrix. They were planning on doing The Matrix, so they had done a comic book version of it. And sort of as a way to demonstrate that they could actually direct a movie, they did this low-budget thriller with Gina Gershon and Jennifer Tilly and Joe Pantoliano. Joe Pantoliano, of course, went on to play Cypher in the first Matrix film. And this involves basically the two of them, these two women, scamming the mob out of $2 million worth of money through this elaborate con that they set up. Really terrific, very, very well-directed movie, lots of great photography and editing. I looked at that movie and went, wow, these Wachowskis are really something. I'm really excited about the next movie they make. And they've made a lot of movies since then that I really enjoy, some of which I will talk about in future videos. And finally, I'd like to talk about Dead Man Walking, which is one of Tim Robbins' films as a director. He didn't act in this movie, he just directed it. It's based on a true story about a death row inmate who's played by Sean Penn, and he asks for spiritual guidance, and he gets it from a nun named Sister Helen Prejean, who's played by Susan Sarandon. Tim Robbins, of course, and Susan Sarandon were a couple at the time they made this movie, and for many years later until they broke up eventually. But Susan Sarandon won an Oscar for this movie, and Sean Penn was nominated. Well deserved. It's some of the best work that they've done in their careers, and it's a terrific drama where this guy basically is pretty much a hustler and a scam artist, in addition to having committed a murder. And the nun calls him out on that. It's just like, look, you want my help, you want me to be here, then I want to know that you're genuine about spiritual salvation. That's 7 movies from 1996. My next video is going to be another 7 movies, and then we'll be moving on to 1997. Hope you've enjoyed this. Hope there's some films in here that if you haven't seen, you'll be interested in checking out. Thank you very much for watching. See you again real soon. Bye.